Hey guys, Matthew, and welcome to the 9th episode of my boss killing series. So today we're actually going to be looking at the second of the Elder Guardians, which is going to be the Constrictor. So, as I've mentioned in all the previous videos, 0.5% chance to get one of these Elder Guardians or even Shaper Guardian maps per Awakening level bonus when killing any map boss of a T14 plus map. That's pretty much unchanged. If you are trying to boss kill for currency, I recommend going for Remnants of the Past to make that 7.5% if you have, of course, Awakening level 9. Guardian's Aid to get the double fragments, and of course additional uniques, additional drops, additional influenced items as well. Very, very nice. And Gaze into the Abyss for the bosses themselves. Shaper dropping 3 additional Shaper items is super, super strong. And of course Gaze into the Abyss for 10% additional chance to drop a Watcher's Eye. Also very nice. It takes it from being about, you know, a 1 in 4 to like a 1 in 3-ish. So it's very, very good to have these nodes. Okay, as always, there's also finding the maps on the website. Since the Elder Guardians can be any map in the game, the way to do this is to type in map is occupied by, and then you're going to get a drop down menu for each of the Elder Guardians. The Constrictor himself has quite a few different attacks, and they're not explained super well here, but there is the PoE fan guide, which is going to make it very easy to visually see it. And then of course I'm going to do the showcase. Alright, so he does a basic melee attack. Now if you're within melee range, if you're not within melee range, he's never going to do that. It's obviously just a melee attack, nothing to write home about. There is the dash. The dash is basically exactly what it sounds like. It's a dash followed by melee attack. It's very easy to dodge, as all you have to do is just keep moving, because where he ends his dash is essentially where you were when he started the animation. So long as you're moving, you're never going to get hit by that. Then he has the strafe arrow. The way to best deal with this is to actually dash in the opposite direction of where he's strafing. Because if you dash in the same direction, you're essentially trying to, I guess you could say, outrun the arrows that are coming at you, right? Outrun his strafing speed, which is basically impossible to do. Meanwhile, if you dash in the opposite direction, then you're not going to have to deal with any of the strafing arrow whatsoever, and it's going to make it very easy to not take any damage from it. That being said, it doesn't really do a whole lot of damage. You can easily tank 1 or 2 of these, even if your character is super squishy, such as mine, as you'll see. He also does the charge shot. Now this will do a ton of damage, but again, it's kind of like the dash, as in he's actually going to shoot his shot where you last were when he finished charging it. So what that means is that as long as you're moving, again, you're never going to get hit by that. You can see in the little GIF here, he's actually following your character as he's charging it up. But the moment he finishes charging it up and he shoots it, as long as you keep moving, you're never going to get hit by that either. Then there is also arrow volley, which is in front of him. As you can see, it's like all these little arrows. It's kind of like a Malachi when he does like his tentacle arm thingy. As long as you walk out of it, you're not going to take any damage there. Combo Rush. Now this one is a little bit annoying to deal with, especially if there's some speed modifiers on your map, which I would highly recommend you avoid. That and of course AoE. Those are the 2 things that I personally hate on this boss, as I do on pretty much every one of the Guardian bosses, as they make the fight significantly harder for just about every single one of them. I pretty much avoid AoE and attacking Caspian on all Guardians, Shaper or Elder, and there's a few of them that I don't like to deal with +2 proj with either. Okay, but basically he charges at you. He does 2 of these melee attacks. These actually maim you, which is going to slow you down by about 30%, which is a pretty big deal. Of course, you could have a Jewel with unaffected by maim, or cannot be maimed or whatever, which is going to make it so you can't get maimed. But if you do get maimed, you are going to be slowed down, which is going to make it significantly harder not to get hit by the upcoming projectiles, which do a lot of damage. So what you want to do essentially is, if you see him dash towards you, just dash into him. So what that means is that you'll basically never have to worry about the barrage of projectiles that are going to hit you afterwards, because so long as you dash into him, he basically only goes back a very small area, right? So he basically hits this entire portion, but if you dash into him, you're never going to get hit by any of those things. Then he also has the Sundering Shot. This is probably the deadliest move in the entire fight. If you see him go up and start charging an arrow downwards, just run away from him. You do not want to be anywhere near him, because it's not just the explosion. Now the explosion is the deadliest part, but there's also these little sunders that can also hit you and deal damage. So what you want to do is basically walk away from it as much as possible, so that when he does that, the explosion, and you'll see it, there is a delay on the little sunders that you'll visually see, so you'll be able to just walk out of them as well. You'll take very little damage. If you stay anywhere near him, however, and you get hit by this sundering shot, the actual big explosion, you're probably dead. And then finally he has the mirror arrow, where he does a bunch of mirror arrows and it spawns ads. This is basically a great way to get flash charges during the fight. And that's about it. He does that when he gets to 50% health, however. That's pretty much all there is to this boss. So for the showcase, let's go ahead and do that. So I'm going to go ahead and, oh, I guess I've already witnessed Maven. Which I actually just did a video where I did put Maven on the fight, and I highly regretted it. It makes the fight so much harder to explain. There's just so much visual noise. So that's why I decided to re-record it without Maven. But of course, since he's already dead, we can't put Maven on again. Alright, so as always, we are going to put Freezing Pulse for the actual mapping, and then we're going to swap that out for, what's it called? For Ice Spear at the very end of the map, when we are going to go ahead and fight the boss. I also don't really have any any loot filter on whatsoever right now. I believe I'm using not even the default one. I'm using none. So that's why you're seeing all this stuff on the ground. Now, if you're wondering why, it's because for my blue build video, what I actually did is I went into T16 maps, I killed some rare monsters, and I picked up some items off the ground that were white. And then I alteration spammed a single mod, crafted the other mod, and that's what you saw in the blue build video, if you've seen that. Alright, as always, I'm going to put a portal before the boss and take the time to swap in my Ice Spear, and we are going to get right into it. I'm going to basically insta-face him the first phase because there's not too much going on, and of course because I want to showcase all of the animations, and some of them are not going to appear in the initial stages of the fight. Alright, here we go. So, we're going to deal with him very, very quickly initially. Basically put all our debuffs, so Flame Golem, Arcanist Brand, as soon as he's up, and he's probably just gonna about instantly die. I'm not even gonna use my flask here or anything like that. This is the charge shot, as you saw here, however. Basically, well, my tones are actually not hitting him right now. So what happens with the charge shot is actually, as you saw, he doesn't do it directly on your character. I'm not sure what's actually hitting me right now, but it does seem like I'm taking some pretty big amount of damage here. All right, so this is the Mirage arrow. So this is a great way to get flash charges, right? So he's spawning a bunch of ads. Very, very nice. Let's go ahead and debuff him. We're going to move on to the last phase, and then I'm going to showcase it much better. So this is a Sundering Shot. Definitely want to walk out away from that, and then the Sunders are going to be very easy to not get hit by, as you will have seen them prior. All right, so let's go ahead and deal with this. So this is the charge shot. As long as you keep moving, as you can see, 0 damage. This is the charge. This is that right there. We barely saw it, but he was doing the strafing arrow. So again, some more Mirage Archers, or some Mirage shot, followed by an empowered shot. Oh, I'm just about to kill him. No, don't die, dude. I'm trying to showcase stuff here. So again, with the Sundering Shot, you can easily see the Sunders that are moving towards you. Okay, so the problem with these bosses is that they're actually very squishy, which is not a problem. That's actually a good thing. But like, this is damage on a 5-link without even really using like optimal damage flask. You know, no Adzir's Promise, no Oaks or whatever, right? There's very little damage to this build, and we're able to still demolish. And this was a T16 Elder Guardian, and they die extremely quickly. It's actually kind of hard to showcase these fights, which is why I'm hoping that the GIF portion that I showed at the start of the video makes up for that, so you guys can visually see the animations a lot better. Because man, it really is kind of hard. Maybe I should use that really tanky character that I have to showcase these. But yeah, essentially, if I'm going to give a TLDR on how to fight this boss, is stay within not quite melee range, but not too far away, because you do want to pay attention to his animations, and you also want to pay attention to the arena. What was killing me most of this fight, right, you saw my HP go down a lot, was actually not the boss himself. He basically did no damage to me, but the arena was actually what was doing a lot of damage to me, right? The little waves, the little zaps. This is essentially the arena that's about... kind of the same to the Brine King when you kill him in Act 6. So, you know, there's little zaps, little wave thingies. Those were what were doing damage. The boss himself, pretty much very, very, very easy to deal with. Anyways, that's pretty much it for the showcase on the Constrictor. As always, though, before I go, I want to say massive thank you to my supporters. Joseph, Atticus, Don, Brandon, Fruitfly, Reese, Pan, Essential, Bard, Adamant, welcome back, Neroth, Jacoff, Thomas, Knight, the Great Master, Raymond, Alex, Emil, Tim, Grimoire, Lost of the Map, Flame Scorpion, Nathaniel, Richard, Johnny, Scott, Ronald, Willie D, Kevin, Moonkiss, Mercury, Bitizen, and Axel, as well as, of course, everybody else who wishes to remain anonymous, anybody else who has supported me in the past. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this guide, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.